can now if you want to turn that off, but I'd still love to see your faces. So anyway, welcome to our class today on past life regression. And so what I want to talk to you, if there are some people here who are new to past life regression and this process, there are 3 modalities where we take in information and remember it, store it, and then, express it, talk about it. And that would be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So if you're visual, when you're having experiences in any given lifetime, you're remembering it by the pictures, the colors, what you've seen. If you're auditory, you're remembering the song that was playing, or you're remembering the conversations. And if you're kinesthetic, you're remembering the feelings, whether they're emotional or sensational, like a pain or a tickle or whatever. And we have all of those senses, of course, but we always have 1 or 2 that are the primary ones. So if you're a visual person, you'll talk fast, which I tend to do, right? So if you're talking to somebody who talks fast, they're probably a visual sensory, or they use the visual sensory modality. If they talk really slowly, and we know people that do that, maybe you're one, when you ask them a question, it's like they take it in and they digest it, and then they give you an answer, right? So you can kind of tell which one you are, or if you're auditory, you're kind of in between that, but you might look to the side when you're remembering. So if you're remembering visions, you tend to look up. If you're remembering what somebody said or the song, you tend to look to one side or the other towards your ears. And if you're trying to remember what something felt like, you tend to look down, all right? But we all do that. But you might be able to, therefore, figure out which modality you are. So the reason this is important when we're doing a regression is because if I'm going to guide you into a nice meditative state, and I'm going to ask you to visualize a hallway, and then you'll go through a door. And oftentimes, that part's pretty easy, but when they go through the door, sometimes people will say, well, I'm not experiencing anything, right? It's just black, or there's nothing there. And there's a few things that can happen. One is there's a concern about whether you're getting the right information. So rather than maybe being wrong, you just stop it, and you don't accept that maybe there is some information there for you to see. The other thing would be maybe you're trying to see something, but really you're kinesthetic. And so if you're a kinesthetic person, maybe it would be more of what you're feeling rather than what you're seeing. So, what's important here is that you check in with all the channels, right? So if you're not seeing anything, just, determine if you're feeling something. If you go through the door and it's just black, you can also just explore that. Because imagine if you were locked away in a dungeon, or you were hiding in a closet, or you were in a very dark cave somewhere way back in time, or you were spelunking, in a cave and it was dark. It might be black. So even if you just go in there, you could imagine, maybe you were blind, right? What if you were born, or you regress into a lifetime when you have no sight? Well, then, of course, you're not going to have visuals that are going to remind you of that lifetime, or be able to recall those. So just be open to the whole experience. If it is, if you go through and it's black, you could just, start asking yourself questions. Is it cool, or is it warm? Does it feel spacious or confined? How do I feel emotionally about being here? You know, so you could just really explore it. Don't assume that it's incorrect. Just explore it. Now, having said that, sometimes, you know, there's just too many factors that I will not, you know, we can't explain them all here in this workshop. Many factors that might hold you back from having a successful um, experience. But another way to approach it, one thing is, if you think about what you did a week ago, or even a year ago, or maybe on your 15th birthday, chances are you're not going to remember everything completely accurately. You might have to think about it. You might have to pull out your schedule or look at pictures or something like that to remember. Now we're going to go back, you know, through many cycles of death, or maybe hundreds of years. And it would be unfair to us really to expect that, you know, the first time you're looking at this, you know, group of memories, or this part of the memories, that you're going to have everything accurate, or that it's going to come up, you know, just right the first time. So, you know, give yourself that leeway. And what I recommend is that you just allow yourself to make up a true story, okay? So just in the beginning, even if you're just making it up, I'm in the wild, wild west, I'm riding a horse and I'm going across the prairie and I'm entering into a little village. Just make it up, because chances are that probably happened. Now, as you get into it and you start really accessing the memories a little clearer, you might realize, well, it wasn't really the West. It was in the plains of Argentina, you know, or, you know, something was different about it. Well, maybe it was medieval England. And, you know, so now that I'm really into it, I'm actually getting more information that's more accurate. But it's better to start and just make it up than to stand there and go, I'm not going a step further until I have, you know, what I know is an accurate memory, because it's not going to feel that way through the whole thing. If you haven't experienced a regression before, through the whole thing, it is probably going to feel like you're making it up. Okay, but just keep going, because it's going to give you new information that then later you can be thinking about, and you can be meditating on, and more information will come, or you'll say, well, it wasn't quite like this, but now I realize it was like that. So it'd be better to have some information to chew on than to just say, well, I didn't get anything at all, right? Okay, I think there was one other thing I was going to tell you. Oh, so the other way to do it is, if you've had a feeling that you lived in a certain era or in a certain country or something like that, when you start the regression, you know, it's nice if you just let the subconscious mind bring you what it thinks you need, which is very useful. But if you are getting stuck, you could say, well, you know, I do remember thinking that I lived in China, or I lived in Japan, or I lived in Spain, or, you know, wherever. You know, I think I remember being a cowboy, or I remember whatever. And then you could start from that. You could just say, okay, so if I was a cowboy, you know, I'll just, you know, here's what a scene would be. Here's what I would think it would look like. And you can just put yourself in that scene and then just let the story unfold. And sometimes the story will change. I actually had somebody that was having difficulty going into a past life. And he said he always thought he had been a cowboy. So we started like that, and he was a cowboy. But, you know, within 5 minutes, he realized that actually he was an Indian, a Native American. And even he was surprised. He's like, oh, no, I'm a Native American, right? And so it was still kind of the same scene, but it switched into what was really true. So I want you to just relax and enjoy it, be playful, be childlike, because you remember what it was like when you were a kid and, you know, your dolls would come alive and, you know, the little trucks had real drivers and you could have conversations. And, you know, as children, we're really able to use that, you know, access that imagination and allow things to really unfold. So, okay, so I say we get started. Are you guys ready? Yes? Yes. Okay. So I want you to just really get relaxed, you know, like, you know, lay back, support your head, you know, whatever you need to do that is really going to allow you to just relax. Obviously, we're not going to be operating heavy equipment right now. Um, and there's no mind control. We're just going to go into a nice meditation. You're always in control. You'll be able to open your eyes at any point if you wish, but hopefully you'll just stay with it and enjoy the experience. So now I'm going to slow my talking down. We'll take a breath. Okay, so let's just take a nice big breath. And as you exhale, just let go of the stress of the morning or the day, wherever you are in the world. And just take another breath and relax your body even deeper, just letting go of any tension in your muscles, in your body, all the muscles around your face and neck, your shoulders. Just let it go. And the other thing is visualizing. I remember what I was going to tell you. As you're relaxing deeper and deeper, when you're visualizing, instead of trying to see something on the back of your eyelids, imagine that you're looking at a movie screen in the middle of your head. So actually turning your eyes backwards and looking at the screen there. That seems to help a lot of people. And as we continue to relax even deeper, I would invite you to imagine a version of you standing in front of you that is fully capable of remembering his or her past lives. That version of you that is maybe just a little further down the timeline or in an alternative universe, a parallel universe that is fully real and accessible, the you that easily remembers past lives, easily opens the third eye, and can do deep, deep meditations. And as you envision that version of you standing right there in front of you, just notice their energy and how they look. Notice anything else around about them. And you can add any other traits there that you would like them to have. And as I count from 3 to 1, I want you to imagine slipping out of your body and into their body so that your feet are in their feet, your arms in their arms, and you're looking out through their eyes and their perceptions and energetic field. 3, 2, 1. And notice what it feels like to be in that version of you that is fully connected to your past lives, easily accessing memories from your subconscious mind. Your third eye open, so receptive, so relaxed. And from this perspective, I would like for you to imagine being in your favorite safe space. a place of relaxation, protection, and connection. And it may be a place that you have visited in this lifetime, or a place that you go to in your imagination that allows you to be free to be yourself. And as you find yourself in your safe space now, exploring with the curiosity of a child to discover what is there today, noticing how it feels to be in this safe space, so free, so authentic. And as you look around in your safe space now, you discover that there is a gift that has been left there for you, a gift of empowerment to bring you certain traits and characteristics that will be so valuable for you today in your past life exploration. And finding this gift, this object, and taking it into your hands. And notice what this gift is, the shape, the color, the texture, the weight of it. And notice how it affects you. What is the energy that it brings to you? How does it change you in the way that you feel in your body, your emotions, maybe the way you think about things? And if it were a Harry Potter type magical tool, how do you think you might use this in your everyday life? How might this tool, this gift, be useful to you? And now finding a place to be seated for an even deeper meditation, holding on to this tool. And as you begin to meditate, you imagine a hallway stretching out in front of you. And it can look like anything you choose. And as you begin to move down along this hall, you notice that there are doorways, each one leading to a past life, memories, experiences that will be so valuable for you today. And as I count from 3 to 1, finding yourself in front of one of those doors, 3, 2, 1. And describe to yourself what this door looks like, what it feels like to be standing here. Just your thoughts and emotions, your experiences. And as this door opens and you step through, notice whether you're inside or outside. And explore this area with the curiosity of a child. And what do you discover in this environment? What do you notice? And what are you doing there? What is happening? And moving ahead in time, a little ways, maybe some minutes or hours, what has been happening? What's been going on over that period of time? And when it's time to go to sleep at that night, what where do you sleep? What is that like? And when you get up the next morning, what do you set about doing? What are you going to do this day? And moving ahead in time to the next notable experience, what do you notice next? And what else is happening? Are you male or female in that lifetime? And about how old do you feel? And moving ahead in time to the next notable experience, what do you notice next? And do you marry in that lifetime or have a significant relationship? And if so, what do you know about that person? And do you have children in that lifetime? And if so, how many? And what do you know about them? And moving ahead in time to the next notable experience, what do you notice next? And what is your occupation in that lifetime? What is it that you do? And what else do you know about your occupation and how you feel about it? And what are your hobbies and interests and talents? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? And what are your passions? And moving ahead in time to the next notable experience, what happens next? As I count from 3 to 1, you'll know where in the world you are, the location of that lifetime. 3, 2, 1. Where is this lifetime taking place? And as I count from 3 to 1, you'll know when this lifetime takes place, the year, the approximate time period. 3, 2, 1. And when did this life take place? Take a few moments to explore anything else that you're curious about from that lifetime. And I'd like to ask your subconscious mind to take you to the most valuable event or realization that you can have in that lifetime, to take you there now. And what is going on? And moving up to the end of that lifetime, how old are you when you leave that body? And what are the circumstances of that passing? And moving across the threshold of that death or that passing. And what does it feel like to just let go of that physical body? And what else do you notice about that experience? And looking back over that life from this perspective, what were the lessons that you learned? What were the valuable experiences? And how will you use this information in your life today? How will you integrate those experiences to be useful to you in this life? And if you could speak with the person you were in that other lifetime, what would you want to say to them? What would you share with them? And if they could share with you, what would they say? And is there anything else you're observing about that lifetime from this perspective? And so remembering all that you've experienced in this session and allowing the subconscious mind to continue to bring you insight, wisdom, and understanding in the days and weeks to come. As I count from 1 to 5, returning here to the present moment, refreshed, alert, and aware. 1, 2, 3, coming up. 4, aware of this time and space. And 5, fully alert and aware and returned here to the present moment. So as you come back to this awareness, just take a breath. And when we finish today, I recommend that you do some journaling and take some notes about what you've experienced. What we've done here today is taken a journey to kind of a sightseeing journey to see what has happened in other lifetimes, and you can see the value of that knowledge. And we can do a whole lot more with that in private sessions. We can combine healing techniques for, in case you see anything that um, uh, was traumatic or is affecting you still here today. So there are a lot of things that we can do with that material. But one of the things that I think is important to understand is that we as souls are made up of all these lifetimes. Our soul is the compilation of an infinite number of lifetimes, an infinite number of moments that are out there that we've experienced. And, some of them are positive and some of them are negative. And, we've lived through plagues and we've lived through wars and we've lived through beautiful, wonderful times. And We've been every color, we've been every religion, we've spoken tons of languages. And the more we connect with that, the more we can connect with all of humanity, and the more we know ourselves, and we can come from the wisdom of this grander perspective, right? So I encourage you to continue to do this, and I'm going to keep doing the free ones. So come back. I'll keep announcing them and scheduling them so that you can keep learning about more lifetimes. So I'm going to unmute everybody, and you can mute you if you have a lot of background noise, but let me see if I can unmute you. Where did it go? Well, you can unmute yourselves because I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, we have about 15 minutes or so. So if you have questions or comments or anything, how did it go? Thumbs up, yes. Yeah, Tammy, how did it go?
I was kind of in and out. I had a lot of distractions, so I was in, out, in, out.
Oh,
So, but I did have an experience as a young Indian girl, probably about 5, 6 years old, running around the village playing. I saw the elders in a circle, and I was trying to figure out what are they doing. Then it switched to then I got distracted, and so then when you said you're older, then I went into, I was probably around in my early 20s. I was on a horse with my boyfriend, and we were out in the woods or something, and I was trying to figure out what was going on there, and I got distracted. Then it switched to I saw myself as an old shaman woman walking into a circle.
nice.
And then I was still, even though my eyes were open when you said something about how does it feel when you die?
Mm-hmm.
I felt my energy, I felt myself light as a feather with swirling energy around me.
Yeah, interesting experience to have that, huh? To now
So, yes,
knowing what that feels like.
yes.
Wow,
So that's what I felt the time I was connected.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we've had a recent discussion with somebody, a student, I guess, who was afraid to see the death or, see things like that. And for me, I would rather know these things. And we die in so many ways. I mean, we've
Yes.
all died in so many ways, but we don't know that. So now we stay in fear, or apprehension or curiosity. But once we start going into those lifetimes, we see how that's happened and what those experiences are. And if we can keep those in our consciousness, we might not have to do it again, right?
Totally.
So
Yes.
we can learn the lessons from a violent death or an accident or a war or something like that. And then we can make informed choices instead of just thinking,
Right.
oh, it'll never happen to me, or I can do these things without repercussion, or whatever it is. So to me, I've experienced some of my death experiences as well. And I think it's valuable, when now I know firsthand, not because I read it in a book, saw it on a movie, or imagined it in my mind. Now I know. So
Right.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Aslan, what do
I
you?
am just extremely surprised because I didn't hear anything about that. I heard now go further, maybe 2 or 3 times. Then I don't remember anything until you said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
I have seen several things. I felt like I was writing something. I felt like I was a man at one point. And I kind of see 3 people outside of a classroom, but that's about it. But it's interesting. I didn't hear anything about death.
Oh, okay. You might have fallen asleep a little bit, which
Yeah.
is fine. It just means that you went really deep into the trance. But if you were to journal what, in fact, I would recommend everybody here, journal what it is you remember, and even maybe write it down a couple of times and do it really in a meditative state where even more information can come, because it's really fresh. Even if it's just outside your consciousness right now, it's right there because you just drew it to you, right? So as you're writing, I was a man and I was doing this, and then filling in, and it's amazing how much memory we have if we stop to fill it in, right? If you just say, okay, I see 3 people outside of a school. What are they doing? What do I know about this? What kind of a school is it? Where was I before I saw them? Where do I go after I see them? What are they doing, right? And you keep asking yourself, and just keep writing the story. Just write the story. And you may later go, oh, you know what? I remember this. Or, oh, it was like this, not that, right? But the more we exercise our ability to remember, the better we're going to remember in every lifetime. Our memory will improve, and that will be a part of who we are, which will then start expanding and reflecting in all the lifetimes. So what we're doing here, our self-exploration and self-improvement, our development, is also going to help all those other aspects of ourselves. So good for you. And I know that you've struggled with seeing anything. So actually seeing that much, I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm surprised. Actually, I did see some things, and usually I don't.
Right.
It's interesting, and
We,
I'm
we
just
push
again
the
so surprised. I didn't hear you talk about that at all. I must have slept, but how then I just wake up is just totally amazing.
Well, that's what tells me, and it happens all the time. I'll be in a classroom and somebody will fall asleep and I bring everybody out and they come out with it, which means that you were paying attention. So
Okay.
that part where you don't remember, it's just that you're not remembering consciously now, but you were paying attention because you were following the instructions, which means that if you're writing down the story, or even going to meditation and just follow the story and then just allow it to continue now, like going back after a dream, right? My lawn people just showed up and I told them not to do this end of the house. Go anybody else have a comment? Yeah, Eric, unmute yourself.
Activate. Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good. Oh, it was very surprising for me because I didn't expect to see anything. And then out of the black, out of the dark came some trees. And I was in a forest and there was a small house, very small, not a hut, but not a big house as well. And I was a boy of about 12 to 14. I'm just taking care of myself there, and I was alone in a secluded place. It was very strange because I was in a place where there was no danger. Even at the times there was some people coming, and I was a bit surprised because I thought it would be dangerous, and it was not. And it gives me now some kind of hesitation between. Like if I feel that the world is dreadful and dangerous, and at that time it was not. I don't know exactly what it means and how where it could lead me or anywhere. And at that time I was a healer. I discovered I was a healer.
Nice.
I was making some paints, and I was a healer, so people could come and see me in the forest. But only those who were not coming with menacing feelings.
Right.
So it was quite magical.
Yes. Oh, what would we give to have a life like that, right?
Yeah.
Every so often, it's just like, I want to have a little hut in the woods, and then, the special people will come and visit me and I'll work with them, but, just let the rest of the world stay away.
Yeah. So in fact, it's quite interesting for me, because I wonder if it's exactly a memory or something that it's kind of a dream for me that I would like to,
Yeah,
and it may be one of, I don't know,
might be both. It
maybe
might be,
both, and I
yeah,
think it doesn't matter. What's important is the message it's telling me.
yeah, exactly.
I think
Oh,
that's what important.
yes, exactly. So whether or not the past life was completely accurate, or in your case, whether you believe that that was really a past life or wishful thinking, the important part is, what do we derive out of that? What is it telling us? Because we could even use it as a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
And typically you'll go to a lifetime that is reflecting whatever your thoughts are, or your lessons, or, something that's going to be valuable or relative to what's happening in the present. Because even the way that the consciousness and your energy is organized, those past life memories are not in a line like that. They're all just in a big sea of memories. It's just like they're all there in a chaotic pool. And so we go to the, as we're moving along, this is our focal point here in this lifetime, in, our consciousness. We're here right now in the present, right? But those past life memories that are resonating with what we're doing here are the ones that are going to kind of come close, and they're going to connect with us more. So when we go to those past lives, in fact, in our class yesterday, one of my students said she always goes to past lives that are really hard, that are, make her work and have to have lessons, right? And the discussion was around, but she admitted that every time she goes to do a regression, she thinks she needs to get something done, so bring me a lesson, teach me something valuable. So she goes to these hard lifetimes. So I actually had her as a demo, and we talked about a different goal. And the goal, it was a different goal. And she went for the very first time ever to a lifetime where it was loving and creative and wonderful, because her, her decision about the purpose of the regression had changed. So now she's connecting out with those memories that reflect that state of mind. So if you want to do a regression where you want to know when you were with your spouse before, or when you were with your children before, or what's your relationship with your boss or your parents, anything, if that's in your mind, then that's where you're going to go to, lifetimes that are going to show you that, right? So in your mind, perhaps it's this, desire to connect with a healing lifetime, and also maybe with a peaceful, non-menacing lifetime, right? So there's something in there that's in you that's resonating. But then, I kind of suspect that it was a lifetime, excuse me, that it was a past life, but it's reflecting that you've had that experience. And maybe there's a longing inside of you to have that, to be able to bring that into your life.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah. Are you a healer now?
Yes, I'm a hypnotherapist.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. I'm glad we're connecting then.
Yes, yes, very good. And I love doing that.
Yeah, there's a few hypnotherapists in this group today. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, somebody had to go, so I guess they're already gone. Any other questions before we close up for today? Every time we meet, I'll probably talk a little bit about something different. So stay on the mail list, and I'll keep posting some different times. But anyway, any other questions before we go? Doesn't seem to be. Okay, well, I'm going to wish you a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. If there's any questions, you can always email. My contact information is in the chat box. Although
Love you.
love you too. Okay,
Thank you.
bye. Thank you. All right, see you. Bye.